So let's talk about destiny in 4D. There's an incredible story in Genesis chapter 12 when Abram, who is a business owner, but he doesn't have any children. He and his wife have been married for decades. He's 75. She's 65. And she's barren. They can't conceive. She's never been able to get pregnant. And God says to him, I want to invite you, Abram, to become something you've never been by experience, but I've already called you to be by destiny. I'm inviting you to come on a prophetic journey with me where you walk out the destiny that you carry in you. And I want to say that to you today. I don't know where you are in your journey. I don't know what your context is or your challenges or life history, but I want to tell you that God has a destiny and it's already coded in your DNA. You carry a destiny DNA. But if you study Abraham's journey, then you will remember that from the time God engages him and says, I want you to go to a land that I'm going to show you, and you're going to become the father of many nations. I'll make a great nation of you. And you're going to become a father. In other words, God says you're going to become something you've never been. You're not going to become something you're not capable of. I've already called you to this. When God calls us to something, He doesn't call us to something He hasn't already equipped us with. And that equipping is in you. The DNA of the capacity to walk out your destiny is already in you. It's not something God's going to bring you into and put on you. It's something you've already got. But He develops us through 4 distinct dimensions of destiny. In other words, to move from where you are to where you're going to be. To give life to the full expression of the purposes, callings, passions, and dreams that the Spirit of God has coded into your DNA, then you're going to have to walk through those and processes, sometimes simultaneously. Sometimes there's more than one of those dimensions. Destiny in 4D includes this: disappointment, delay, development, and deliverance. Let me say those again. Destiny in 4D. These are 4 dimensions of destiny, development, and the prophetic journey you're on of becoming what and who God has told you you would be. They are disappointment, delay, development, and deliverance. You know, the New Covenant writer tells us that the trying of our faith works patience, and patience brings us into experience, and experience brings us into hope, and hope means we don't end up ashamed. Patience, experience, hope. And in the end, hope, the thing we've been patiently processing towards, God makes good on His promise that He made us hopeful about, and we don't end up ashamed. Abraham and Sarah were not ashamed of their journey because God did exactly what He said. And He's going to do the exact same thing with you. But the truth is, we do go through disappointments. We do experience perceived delays. We have to understand that it's in the seasons of disappointment and delay when God is developing us. And maybe right now you're in a place where you don't have any sense, or it doesn't seem like you have any evidence that God's still with you on your journey. Maybe you're processing disappointment. Maybe you're battling some delays. And maybe they've worn you out. What I need you to know today is that it's in disappointment and delay that God develops us. See, that perceived delay or the wrestling with disappointment, the scriptures teach us work patience. And patience produces experience. It gives us experience. That's equipping. And that's development. And through that process, we give life to hope, and God gives life to hope in us through that. And in the end, hope doesn't lie. God won't lie to you. The journey of destiny development, the prophetic journey you're on with Him to give life and manifestation and see the full expression of the DNA you carry. Maybe at one point you were convinced of it, but now, because of disappointments and delays, you're not so sure. I'm here to tell you that that is where God moves you into the deeper level of development. And even when it seems like He's absent, He's present, and He's developing the champion. He's developing the overcomer. He's developing the father of many nations. He's developing the mother of many nations. He's developing something in you that's greater than what you're aware of when you're processing the dimensions of disappointment and delay. You see, you can't come into destiny. You can't give birth to that without experiencing the disappointments and the delays. I could throw out a number of names today you would know biblically. You say, yeah, Pastor Howard, I see that. I see the symmetry between Abram's experience becoming Abraham and Joseph going into prison and coming out a prime minister. You see David being chased by Saul and becoming the king of a nation. I see Ruth in her journey of barrenness and brokenness and then coming into Boaz's field and everything shifting. Yes, I see that in the disappointment and in the delay, God's got a way of developing us. And when the development reaches a specific appointed season in your life, the disappointment, the delay, and the development birth the deliverance. So I want to wrap with you today by saying this. If you are in disappointment, that's okay. God's got you. Work through it. Give yourself permission to work through it and then get to a place of rest. If you're processing perceived delays, that's okay too. Listen, sometimes it's the perceived delay that takes us back into disappointment that we thought we'd come out of. Here's the good news. To everything, there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. In the disappointments and the delays, God has covenanted that He will not forget to keep His appointments with you. So much of the destiny process is about pushing through disappointment and delays to come into divine appointments that we weren't aware of. So in the disappointment and in the delay, you're being developed, and that development will produce deliverance. The very who that God said you are, the very what God said you would do, and the very why, the passion and the purpose that is in your DNA that maybe you're struggling with, God will resurrect that. It can't leave you. It's just growing in you. So I want to encourage you today, no matter where you are in the 4Ds of destiny, disappointment, delay, development, or deliverance, God's going to keep His covenant with you. There's not an appointment on His calendar that He will not keep with you.